Hello, everybody, and welcome to Atheist Sunday School, your one-stop shop for everything Atheist Sunday and school. And boy, do we have a show for you today. Today we are covering Isaiah chapters 12 through 15 with Aron Ra.
Yes, Aron Ra, my long-lost father, my blood brother, Aron Ra, is here with us today.
You got to get those family dynamics worked out, man.
I know. But you know what? I mean, the resemblance is uncanny. The first time that I met him, a lot of people thought that I was his son. So
Wonderful.
that is a true story, just so everyone knows.
All right.
Yeah.
So we are, of course, covering Isaiah today, and we are also going to be talking about Lucifer.
Ooh.
Yeah, because one of the words that's used in here is Lucifer, but of course it's not a proper name, but we'll get into that. So it's going to be exciting. We get to talk about the archangel himself.
Incredible.
I know. It's crazy.
Do we get any backstory?
No, because it's...
Oh, man.
Well, we do get some backstory, but not about what one would think it should be about.
Darn. You know, that seems to be the case every time I want a little more information. It's like, yes, there's more, but you don't want that.
Yeah. There's remember Second Maccabees, right? The dude was
All of Second Maccabees?
Yeah, the dude who took all the information from Jason of Cyrene and kind of condensed it down, was like, go read Jason's account. That one's way more in detail. This one's just summarized, and now we don't have Jason's account, so now we just have the summary. And
Yeah. It's kind of pathetic, but it's also hilarious in that way.
yeah, it's kind of a bummer that we do not have that account, but we do
our
have.
fault.
It's not
It's
our
other
fault.
people's fault. You guys lost those. It's like, yeah, someone will have it. No.
No, he was wrong. But you know what we do have?
What
We have Aron Ra here.
Yeah, we do.
And he's going to be helping us read today. It's
Yeah.
always a pleasure having him on the show.
So what have you been up to lately, Aron? Anything you want to share with our audience before we get into the material here?
I've been working on a degree, very, very close. If I can get the last class in, which is some scheduling difficulty that might put things off another semester and piss me off. But I've been supposed to be right on the edge of getting a Bachelor of Science in Anthropology from the School of Human Evolution and Social Change at Arizona State University's Institute of Human Origins.
Hey, that's cool.
It's awesome. Also,
And it's frustrating being right there, and then a scheduling issue that might push the whole thing back over one damn class.
yeah, seriously, it seems like so much shit's just getting fucked up over this whole COVID thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the bureaucracy behind the class scheduling has always been a nightmare to deal
Also,
with.
yes. Now it's just worse.
Well,
Yeah. And I think everyone in the audience, before we get started, should share this around, get some people in here. That includes you, Aron. Includes you.
yes. So, yeah, share friends, family, neighbors, countrymen, etc., and so on. I'm going to be reading chapter 12. It's incredibly short.
Yeah, it is. Lucky you.
Yeah, it's about time I got a short chapter. I'm reading the King James Version of the Bible.
I have the English Standard Version of the Bible. We also have Robert Alter's translation of the Hebrew Bible with commentary.
As well as the Holy Scriptures according to some Jews and the New King James Version.
Yeah, and then Aron, what translation are you deciding to read today?
I'm going to do the New American Standard.
Sounds good.
Excellent.
Classic.
We also have Eerdman's commentary on that.
We do. We have Erdman's commentary in the Bible, right here.
Yeah.
Can't wait to talk about Lucifer.
Lucifer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Too excited.
So we're in chapter 12 now.
Yes.
And in that day thou shalt say, oh, we got a poet. O Lord, I will praise thee. Though thou wast angry with me, thine anger is turned away, and thou comfortst me. So, okay. God was angry.
And now he isn't.
Now he's comforting.
And that's great, yeah.
Yep. They're very happy about it.
You've seen the wrath of God.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah, they wrote about it a few times.
This is just a few.
Yeah. Behold!
Behold! You got to say it, Aron.
Behold.
Yes.
Yay.
Beholding. God is my salvation. I will trust and not be afraid. For the Lord Jehovah is my strength and my song. He also is become my salvation. Interesting they say the Lord Jehovah.
Yeah, so this is more likely just be Yah, which is just a short form for Yahweh. And that's actually the translation that is used by Alter. For my strength and my power is Yah. And that comes up in a whole bunch of names, like Elijah and like all those names.
I got a question about that. Because you have the Yahweh is what the way we pronounce it, the all capital YH WH.
Mm-hmm.
But wouldn't that be pronounced with vowel sounds? I mean, if it was Yahovah, right? Jehovah.
Yeah, that is one thing, but the way that they would have pronounced, I mean, we do say Yahweh, so we do have the vowel sounds in there when we say that.
Yeah, I just don't think that they would have said Yahweh. I mean, I think they would have said Yahovah.
Well,
Well,
there's
they
a
would've
number
said-
of different vowel combinations that you could put there. You could say
One of the things I read
Yehovah.
about this,
I think Yehovah is a decent, like, you could.
Yeah, but
You
it
could.
would have been a W sound, not a V. So
yeah, but that's one of the pronunciations that I read about was the way to pronounce the name of God is like when you're walking and you're tired that you say His name as a matter of course. And so nobody's saying Yahweh, but I could see stumbling around. You're tired of walking. You have to march too far. Yahovah. I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of difference. But I mean, where would you get Jehovah from if not Yehovah?
Mm-hmm.
no, I mean that's another vocalization. There have been multiple theories of how the
mutated.
tetragrammaton was actually vocalized, and that is one of them. And of course, that's the whole Jehovah's Witnesses thing.
Yeah, well,
Yep, so you're not wrong, man. It's just, it got butchered a lot.
the modern Jews don't say it at all. It's like,
Yeah, it's the holy name. You can't.
yeah, it's forbidden.
Yeah.
Which makes this much harder. Therefore, with joy shall ye draw water out of the wells of salvation. Ooh,
Yeah, the springs of deliverance. Water sources are always precious in this arid region, as we are reminded in Exodus by the bringing forth of water from the rock for the thirsty people. Twice, but one of them was bad. Couldn't do that one. However, this vivid poetic coinage, the springs of deliverance, is original to the text.
Cool.
I saw that flip.
Yeah. And in that way shall ye say, more poetry, praise the Lord, call upon his name, declare his doings among the people, make mention that his name is exalted. Ooh, the KJV, man. They're just throwing in alliterations throughout this one. Whoever translated this part, they were having fun with it.
You ever think that's why there's like extra poetic structure that feels, cognitively added in the KJVs?
Oh, well, yeah, it was meant to be like a very...
I get you.
Poetic,
Yeah.
yeah.
So at least in our language, I see why people like it that way.
Well, yeah, definitely. They like it because of how good it just sounds,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the purpose.
Right.
Forget about the unicorns and like all the crazy shit that happens in there, and only in there.
Yeah, but we get a lot of, stuff from the KJV, like the phrase salt of the earth. Yeah, KJV. So it's been important.
Yeah,
obviously.
its phrasing has stuck in many ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. In other ways, it really, really has.
Fell off a cliff.
Yeah. Sing unto the Lord, for he hath done excellent things. This is known in all the earth. Cry out and shout, thou inhabitant of Zion, for great is the Holy One of Israel in the midst of thee. That's the end of chapter 12.
Yeah, you had a very short chapter there.
Incredibly short.
Yeah. And one of the notes here on verse 5, be it known through all the earth. This is a recurrent theme in biblical literature. God's powerful intervention in history on behalf of the people of Israel is a manifestation of his supreme dominion over all things, and the peoples of all the earth take note of it. They don't, but
historically, this is the second time Reuben has been awarded a short chapter.
no, you've had more short chapters.
Not like this.
Not 2 in a row.
Not like this.
Not like this.
This is what you know what I mean by short.
Yeah.
This is so short.
Yeah, he never gets these. You always got those.
I have a quite a long one though.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
All right.
It's about time.
Yeah, a bit
Tide's
of
turned.
role reversal.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm going to hand this off to you.
Okay.
And I'm going to hand this off to you. And for everyone watching the stream right now, if you're enjoying the show for, the 11 minutes that we've been on, very short chapter. If you're enjoying the show, make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you haven't, share it around, all that good
yeah,
stuff.
that again.
Yeah.
That was so frequent now.
Good
It's
old
like,
shilling.
we need to do it every 11 minutes, guys. We got to get our quota.
No, we don't need
quota
to.
in.
Oh, yeah.
We just prefer to.
It's-
All right, so how about we hop into this next chapter, chapter 13. The oracle concerning Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amoz saw. On a bare hill raise a signal, cry aloud to them, wave the hand for them to enter the gates of the nobles. Go ahead.
Isaiah 13:1 through 14:23 are oracles against Babylon and cannot have come from Isaiah.
Yeah, exactly.
Only the framework, which is reminiscent of Deutero-Isaiah, relates them to Babylon. Isaiah 14:1 through 4 describe a whole bunch of things. This is all mixed up and very hard to follow because they include both of these chapters in one section and then they reference them throughout.
Yeah, that happens.
But yeah, the point being, these are not from Isaiah.
No way.
Not from Isaiah. Alter also talks about it.
Because Isaiah would have lived centuries before this.
Yeah, he talks about in the first verse here, he talks about this portent about Babylon. The word he translates as portent, masa, has the literal sense of burden, which is to say a burden of prophetic pronouncement. Some render this as oracle, though oracles tend to be murkier and also more strictly predictive. Babylon becomes an imperial power in the region that threatens then destroys the kingdom of Judah a century after Isaiah. Prophetic and other biblical books were conceived as open-ended affairs into which later materials could be introduced. Presumably, the editor felt that the portent about the doom of Babylon was in keeping with the outlook of Isaiah's prophecies concerning Assyria. The psalm placed as chapter 12 editorially marks the end of the first large unit of the book. The present chapter begins a series of prophecies about sundry foreign nations. Most of the material is later, although it is difficult to sort out the chronology of the various units.
Yeah, it's always very difficult with these things. As we discussed in our first episode on Isaiah, there are some very complicated models for the compositional history.
Is it
of the
pre
text.
or post-exilic?
Well, no, this would...
This would definitely be post-exilic.
Yeah,
100%.
or perhaps parts of it even exilic.
Oh, wow. See, that's what he was saying with the dates being rather disparate.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's start reading this hodgepodge.
Yeah, let's see. I myself have commanded my consecrated ones, and have summoned my mighty men to execute my anger, my proudly exulting ones.
So the political reference is unclear, though in verse 17 the Medes are mentioned as the ruthless invading army, and it was in fact the Persians conflated with Media,
Yeah, definitely, because you had like someone like Darius the Mede.
yeah, who toppled the Babylonian Empire in the 5th century BC.
Was he drunk?
Yes, he was,
Oh, very
except it
good.
was on rum.
Oh, wow, that's ironic.
Oh, of course. These warriors enacting God's wrath sound rather like an apocalyptic or at least supernatural army.
Maybe, but like if you're talking about a political context like this, where you're referencing the Medes, as well as actually entering into the gates, it doesn't really sound very supernatural to me.
It says that the Lord should use the Medes and Persians as his agents is a theme familiar from Deutero Isaiah.
Yeah.
Another indication that it was he who reused the ancient oracle.
Also, if you remember the whole Ezra Nehemiah stuff, where they basically said that God sent Cyrus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like they're just taking up that theme. Not that they took it up from them, but they're sharing. They share the theme, right?
Yes,
right.
it's a style at the time. Other people did it too.
Yeah. The sound of a tumult is on the mountains, as of a great multitude. The sound of an uproar of kingdoms, of nations gathering together. The Lord of hosts is mustering a host for battle. Oh, shit.
The Lord of armies is mustering an army for war.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, I guess.
We should make sure to use that verse in our show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Lord of... Well, you want to use the Lord of hosts or the Lord of armies.
Either way.
They're both pretty good.
Yeah. They come from a distant land, from the end of the heavens, the Lord and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. End of the heavens.
The end of the heavens... They come from a faraway land, the end of the heavens. This may be merely a hyperbolic representation of an army coming from beyond the immediate region, but it again gives the invaders an apocalyptic look. But also that's interesting in terms of Christian cosmology, right? Where there is an end of the heavens.
Well, yeah, end of is definitely just far away, but it's just interesting that they use the word heavens there.
Yeah.
Aren't they talking about the firmament and where it connects to the earth?
You know,
That's a good guess.
It could be about the firmament. I guess if someone
Oh my gosh, it's the frost giants. These guys are the frost giants?
no
Came from the ice
that's
wall?
that's Norse. That's Norse
I'm
stuff.
messing with you, man.
Not for a few years yet. Yeah.
either way.
Anyway.
Wail, for the day of the Lord is near.
Howl.
Do you want me to howl?
I want you to howl.
I'm not gonna howl. I don't think my
Ow.
throat can handle a
Do you
howl.
want that? That was a howl. I didn't say do a good job.
Yeah.
Ow.
Yeah, there. See, look at him. That's a howl. He howled. That's terrible. You're terrible. Very good. Thank you.
Wail, for the day of the Lord is near, as destruction from the Almighty it will come.
Shattering from Shaddai.
Oh yeah, Shaddai. That's another epithet for God.
Yeah, the more literal sense is havoc or despoiling. But the translation emulates the sound play of the Hebrew, Shad Mi Shaddai.
Yeah, we got a real poet over here. You're right.
Oh, this is altered. He's been doing that.
Therefore, all hands will be feeble, and every human heart will melt. They will be dismayed. Pangs and agony will seize them. They will be in anguish like a woman in labor. They will look aghast at one another. Their faces will be aflame.
Like a woman in labor, they shall shudder. They shall gaze aghast at each other, their faces in flames.
Yeah, and I'm guessing the whole flame thing. I'm guessing it's to parallel the whole melting heart. Like,
Passion.
Birth pangs will seize them. Ugh.
See, I wouldn't say it would be ashen. Like we had like a
passion.
whole passion. I thought you said ashen.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, passion.
Okay, yeah, passion is fine. Yes.
I guess ashen too. It's on fire, but that's not what I was going for.
That's why I thought.
Yeah, no, I get why you think it's wrong.
Behold!
Behold!
Behold.
The day of the Lord comes, cruel with wrath and fierce anger, to make the land a desolation and to destroy its sinners from it. And we know that God comes with cruelty and wrath. We have read enough of this book to suggest that he comes with cruelty and wrath.
It's part of his default template. You can't get rid of that if you're gonna add the God template.
Yeah.
Which verse is this?
I just finished verse 9.
Verse 9. They're talking about the day of the Lord. So this is...
Well, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So day of the Lord imagery also appears in Deuteronomy 32:43, which describes how the Lord appears to take vengeance on his enemies and to atone the land. And in Deuteronomy 33:2-3, which describes his coming with the host of 10,000 holy ones on the day he becomes king. These suggest that the Day of the Lord was a tradition of the first temple, enacted annually on the Day of Atonement, when the king was reaffirmed as the Lord's son and ruler in Jerusalem. In 1QM7, it is 7 fully vested priests who lead the army to the great battle, blowing their trumpets. An identical tradition in Revelation 8 describes the heavenly aspect of the operation, 7 angels, that is, priests with trumpets.
And they're blowing 7 trumpets. Yeah.
Yep. They bring the destruction and disasters on the day of the Lord,
Oh,
pouring
hey,
out wrath,
this-
making
we
the
watched
earth
the
a
whole-
desolation.
You remember that anime we watched?
Yeah, yeah.
Which one with the vampires?
Why are we talking about anime?
Because this has
don't
7
remember.
trumpets being blown,
does it?
literally, and like angels being brought to end the world. It's exact
Okay,
imagery.
so it's Revelation.
It's
It's
super
Revelation.
spot on to what
Okay.
you're talking
I
about.
forget the
Normally,
name.
I wouldn't bring it up.
Yeah, it was some vampire anime.
It was good
Wow.
though.
It was good. I'll give it
Something of the end, Seraph of the end.
yeah, Seraph of the
end.
End.
That's what it was called. That's why it's
Shout out to Seraph of
There
the
you
End.
go.
Our viewers, I don't know.
Nobody's seen that. It's pretty obscure.
Although, since we're talking about Revelation, coming up soon in, maybe not even a month, I would say, you guys are going to get a video about heavenly horsemen. We're going to talk about the 4 horsemen and the chariots and horsemen throughout the Bible. And pretty much it's a very interesting topic, actually, because like there's so many things that are like against chariots and horsemen in the Bible.
Surprising amount of things that are anti-chariot.
Yeah. So gonna cover that. We're also gonna cover some stuff where it seemed like they kind of wanted chariots, and Zechariah predicts that they're going to have that a righteous Israel will have chariots. So there's a lot of very interesting stuff about chariots and horses.
Maybe like the fact that they don't have chariots is a huge drawback, and
Well,
so they hate on
because
them.
in war,
Of course.
like this
Big
is so
advantage.
exactly. So then when they did, they eventually took chariots or heavenly chariots. They had to be from God, basically. If Israel's gonna have chariots, they're gonna be from God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Either way, let's continue. You guys are gonna be getting a whole big video on that soon. For the stars of the heavens and their constellations will not give their light. The sun will be dark at its rising, and the moon will not shed its light. No, okay, so complete removal of light.
This is still
It's gonna
another
be dark.
You're
striking-
right. It will be dark.
Yes, it will. It's a striking instance in which the poetic hyperbole becomes incipient apocalypse. The catastrophe about to overtake Babylon is cosmic, with the stars and the moon and the sky going dark and the sun rising without light. So, yeah, this is like intensely terrible situation for him there.
Yeah.
Like,
Who modded the skybox this hard? Jeez.
I will punish the world for its evil and the wicked for their iniquity. I will put an end to the pomp of the arrogant and lay low the pompous pride of the ruthless. I will make people more rare than fine gold, and mankind than the gold of Ophir. Okay,
Yeah,
so
Ophir in the Red Sea region was famous for its fine gold. In the Hebrew, a different word is used in this verse set for gold. Biblical Hebrew has several poetic synonyms for gold. English has none.
so
Fun fact, gold is much more common than people.
and if you remember, when we were reading over, the stuff in First and Second Kings, for example, they were always going to get gold of Ophir, or not always, but a few times you get a few references to it.
Yeah.
So it's
Shout
people
out
more
to Ophir.
more rare than fine gold. Like it's just very hard to find people. That's what they're going after.
Until you go to space.
See, I was just saying that.
Either way, therefore, I will make the heavens tremble, and the earth will be shaken out of its place at the wrath of the Lord of hosts in the day of his fierce anger. So he's going to knock it out of its fucking orbit. Of course.
That'd be terrifying. Wow.
In this cosmology, probably not knock it out of its orbit, but
Flip it.
it's gonna be real bad. Although, then would it really even be okay? So if you move it out of its place, wherever that may be, and if the sun's already dark and the stars if it's already all dark, right? Then like, how much effect is moving it gonna have?
I don't know. There's some weird math that someone made up for it in modern times to try to explain it, and you'd have to use that weird math, and I don't want to.
I know you don't want to. I don't really want to either. But
Somebody made up some philosophy for, the sun, if it's this close to the sphere, it would have to be this big and it'd have to be this hot. And, like, I guess if they moved it, like, 50 miles away or something.
oh yeah, that's right.
I don't know. They could make something up.
Yeah,
there's an apologetics for it.
They do make shit up. They are called flat earthers. Flat earthers like to make shit up.
All the
So-
time.
And
Yeah.
that doesn't get brought up as often as I'd like in our conversations.
Flat
Flat
Earth?
Earth?
Yeah, it hasn't been brought up that much in our readings.
You want us to talk more about Flat Earth?
I'm saying that things that people in Flat Earth would bring up are not that commonly brought up in our readings.
We just mentioned the end of the firmament,
Yeah.
right? Or the ends of the heavens, which the only way I can interpret that is if the earth is a flat disk divided into four quadrants, the way the Bible reads to me, then the firmament, the ends of the firmament are where the glass dome sits upon that disk.
Sure, but how many times have we had the firmament brought up?
Since Genesis,
Pretty,
very
yeah,
few.
pretty often, Chris. I don't know what you're on about.
Lawrence says few.
Yeah, very few times has it
Yeah.
actually been brought up.
Exactly.
Since
All
Genesis.
I'm saying
I'm
is that it's
thinking
pretty
also about-
uncommonly discussed.
I'm thinking also about the apocryphal stuff that we've been reading.
Oh yeah, the apocryphal stuff.
So-
Well, yeah, you talk about Enoch and
Sure,
yeah,
I meant in the Bible.
okay. That's different.
Yeah.
Either way, let's continue. I don't know why we're talking about flat Earth. And like a hunted gazelle, or like sheep, with none to gather them, each will turn to his own people, and each will flee to his own land. Whoever is found will be thrust through, and whoever is caught will fall by the sword. So in both of those cases, just two different ways of saying they will be killed. Their infants will be dashed in pieces before their eyes.
Just like that
Killed.
part in that psalm. You remember that part
Yes.
where it was like, they'll dash your children against the rocks?
Yeah. I do remember that.
Yeah. That's awful.
Yeah. Also recall Deuteronomy 28.
Yeah, Deuteronomy 28, where they start talking about like how God's going to make them eat their own children.
Yeah, he's going to like it. He's going to like making you eat your own kids.
Especially if you don't believe in him.
That chapter.
Judeo-Christian morality.
Yeah, no, that chapter was a trip.
Yeah. This is a trip, too.
Yeah, a little bit.
Something's happening where this flat Earth is getting the sun dragged away from it. Yeah, it's not good.
Their houses will be plundered and their wives ravished. Ravished is probably not the right word to be used there.
Babes, homes, wives, the sheep-like men of Babylon are impotent to protect their most precious human and material possessions.
Well,
that's what's supposed to
impotent
communicate.
is a decent word to use.
That's
in that
Alter's
context.
choice.
Yep.
That wasn't in his translation.
No, I know.
His commentary
Right.
too. So that's pretty hardcore, man.
Yeah, thanks, Alter.
Now just imagine how different all these verses would be if God was all wise, like they depict him to be. If God was love, as was so often told to me, if God had wisdom and détente and an understanding of how people are and how to communicate, all of this would have been completely different. If God existed, this book would be written completely different.
Nah, he's vengeful and stuff.
I mean, definitely.
Grr.
We get a lot of different sides of God and a lot of different philosophies, but they're all like intrinsically linked to the time that these texts were written.
Yeah, but how many mentions of babies getting smashed like on the
There
floor?
there are a few.
Are
yes.
we gonna get?
There's
Like,
too many.
Is this the God of smashing babies on the floor?
No, but that's a new shirt idea.
Well, I don't know how many people would buy it.
Well, there's a whole rogue tier video game called The Binding of Isaac where you play as a fetus that gets smashed on the floor.
Oh, yeah, it's a good game.
Yeah. It's more popular than you would think.
Yeah.
Continue. This is ridiculous.
Behold!
Behold!
I am stirring up the Medes against them, who have no regard for silver and do not delight in gold. So that's interesting. That
Reuben gets some meat and stir it up.
so I'm guessing so when the people that are being referenced there. So I am stirring up the Medes against them, who have no regard for silver and do not delight in gold. Those last two parts of the verse there, those last two, are they referring to the Medes or to the enemies of the Medes, or who the Medes are going up against?
Hard to tell.
I think they're referencing the Medes.
I think so too, though.
Yeah, I
Because I could say it's
I think
either
what
way.
they're saying here is that they're rousing up the Medes,
Yeah.
and they don't even want payment. They're just
you couldn't pay 'em
willing
off.
to fight them.
Got that would make sense. Yes.
I don't. It doesn't seem like that they don't want payment. It's just that they don't hold to the standard currency. I mean, perhaps they're still in the time when toilet paper is the most valuable thing.
Right.
No, but
they might want animals. They
His-
might not want gold or silver.
Historically, though,
Maybe they're only interested in Black Lotus.
maybe.
Yes.
Maybe.
I would like one car's worth of magic cards as well. A valuable car, a nice car.
And I would say that at this time, they were using there was like a standardized currency at this time, like throughout the region. But either way, they don't want these lavish things, I guess. Their bows will slaughter the young men. They will have no mercy on the fruit of the womb.
So they say the bows will pierce the young men. Here it says the Hebrew verb means to smash. But that's not an action performed with the bow.
You don't know that.
Yeah, like this whole last Sunday or
Yeah,
Saturday, you were playing D&D and you had a
Yeah,
bow.
I had to
What'd you
smash
do?
people
You
with
had
a bow.
you didn't get to shoot them because they were too close.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can smash them with a bow.
Sure
Come
you
on.
can.
I guess.
Their eyes will not pity children. They're just going to be ruthless.
Yeah.
And Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the splendor and pomp of the Chaldeans, will be like Sodom and Gomorrah when God overthrew them. It's going to be just really, really destroyed.
Yeah.
That's what-
Leveled.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
So there's where the salt imagery comes in for the apocalyptic stuff.
You know, it's
Gotcha.
it's really insane.
And
People
fire
have
and
been
brimstone, just like them.
people have been like talking about completely glassing their enemies forever.
Yeah.
Like completely erasing them. This is throughout the Bible. This isn't just like in one book.
Yeah.
Uh,
Comes up a lot.
Yeah.
It will never be inhabited or lived in for all generations. No Arab will pitch his tent here. No shepherds will make their flocks lie down there. That's just not true.
That's post-exilic
Or
exilic.
But either way, it's just not true.
Yeah.
People still live in those areas.
There are sheep there.
They live there now.
People.
You should, whenever anyone wants to say that the Bible is true, you know, you can point out now Isaiah 13:20, or was that 21?
No, that was
Or-
20.
That was 20. Yeah, it's weird here, but yeah, you can just point out. Well, no, there's still people living there.
Yeah.
So is this
So at the-
figurative?
so at
Is
the-
it figurative that it says she will remain without settlers forever?
It's definitely I would say that they're being hyperbolic in any case, but if someone is like a Bible literalist, then very easily like this is just simply not true. Like you can say that the land was destroyed and it was, you know, not lived in for a whole bunch of time. But I guess they could make an argument that they could make an argument around the word generations because it wouldn't be the descendants of those people.
Yes,
So they could I could see that argument coming up.
I guess.
But either way, people live there. But wild animals will lie down there, and their houses will be full of howling creatures. There, ostriches will dwell, and there wild goats will dance.
Satires or satyrs.
Yeah,
Satyrs.
I'm a little confused
Satyrs.
at different. I'm a little confused at the differences here, where it's wild goats in one version, but it's satyrs in another one, and it's goat demons in another one.
Yeah, it says Alter's commentary is the blurring of lines between the zoological and the mythological is characteristic of biblical poetry. I'm not sure that's the case. I didn't see a lot of that in Psalms.
No, but I know that when we're trying to say things like definitiveness, like there are kinds of animals that every time that somebody says that, you know, it says bird in one version, owl in another, large winged beast in another, and it's like there's no continuity between animal translations as far as we've read. Really, it's been the worst. It's been the worst.
And the thing is, this exact, almost exact imagery pops up again in chapter 34. But in that chapter, Lilith is used.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I was okay. So someone
Alter does note that these creatures may be something like goat gods.
You know what? I'm guessing that these are ways to, like you could have local gods, and these are just like mockeries of them in a way. I don't know.
And in the New American Standard Version, it makes it seem so charming when it says that shaggy goats will frolic there. Well, how nice.
Can't wait to see that.
Great.
Good for them. Go hang out with the frolicking shaggy goats. But anyways, yeah, so much stuff in these verses seemed familiar to me. I was like, is this the part where Lilith is supposed to be? I don't see Lilith in here because it looks so familiar. But then, yeah, I had to look it up, and that's in a different chapter also in Isaiah. But these, a lot of these same animals pop up again. So, yeah, and their wild goats will dance. Hyenas will cry in its towers, and jackals in the pleasant palaces. Its time is close at hand, and its days will not be prolonged.
So where it says palaces, Hyenas will shriek in her palaces and jackals in her mansions of pleasure. For palaces here in altars, it says the Masoretic text, patently defective here, reads Be'al-Menotav in his windows. But 3 ancient versions reflect a text that showed Be'armenoteia in her palaces. So there is a discrepancy between the Masoretic text and older versions at that point.
And that is nothing new to biblical manuscripts.
Right.
Huh. Either way, that is the end of chapter 13. If you are
Do
enjoying
you
this,
hear something?
you know what? I do hear something. Aron, do you hear something? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Sorry, not even in on the joke.
Fade to black.
Behold, I am your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and I want to let all you heathens and sinners know that I support this wonderful episode of Atheist Sunday School. Lawrence and Reuben try their very best to bring you the true glory of the Bible, and they need your help. They have provided links to their Patreon page and other social media just for you. Once again, my name is Jesus Christ, and this is Milwaukee Atheists. The Lord is with them. God bless.
Jesus Christ! Thank you for showing up to our stream once again. Then also, thank you for taking Reuben away. That guy was getting annoying. Man, I'm glad he's gone. But the next thing I know, he's going to come back and he's going to tell us about his ascension and how he saw the gates of heaven and he took a journey to hell. And then he's going to be telling us that he's fucking Peter. And I'm going to be like,
he had to go to the bathroom.
no, that's ridiculous. That never happens. He can't go to the bathroom during a show.
I mean, it's a long show.
That's not even possible. You don't know what you're talking about.
You're probably right. He's gone forever.
Yeah, he is gone forever. Which, of course, means that Aron is my new permanent co-host. Hello, Aron. Thank you for joining the team.
Well, happy to be here.
So that's good. If you guys are enjoying the stream so far, drop a like, subscribe, share it around, all that good stuff that helps us with paying the bills and staying alive, just like the BG said. So let's we can hop into the next chapter here, Aron. That I'm gonna pass that off to you, chapter 14. I'm gonna
All right.
take this stuff over here.
Shit.
Oh shit! Where did you come from,
Oh
Reuben?
man, I ascended and I saw the gates of heaven, and then I take down the hell.
Oh my god!
Now, what was the last thing you
I
said?
don't
about
fucking
me?
remember.
I don't fucking know. Yeah, that whole thing happened. Now I'm a Christian. Woo woo, Jesus.
Incredibly convincing.
Wow, I can't believe I was right.
All right.
No, nothing of the sort.
Okay. Well, either way, Aron, we can pass it off to you then for chapter 14.
All right, I'm going to be reading from the New American Standard, unless I can read from the King James, because I don't know. I always enjoy that. Which one should I do?
It honestly, you know what? It's up to you.
Yeah,
You can do the
Have
KJV.
fun with it.
All right. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in his own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob.
So
And
this formulation at the beginning looks like the perspective of a prophet in the Babylonian exile, according to Alter.
That would make sense, yeah, because if you're talking about saving Jacob and the house of Jacob, yeah, you might be talking about the exile.
all right, and let's see then. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors.
And that's a theme we get a lot, actually, right? Where you have the reversal of societal roles. Yeah.
But in Sirach, it was presented as a very negative thing.
Well, yeah, because
Yeah, it
in
is.
Sirach's time, it would have been at least a little bit different.
Yeah, well, in that time,
It would have been innocuous.
They
in that
would
time.
have been in power, right?
At least they at least wouldn't have been during Sirach's time. They wouldn't have been nearly as persecuted as before. So now they can actually use the whole motif of the reversal of societal roles as a bad thing.
Yeah, but what a morally abhorrent thing to put in your holy book, where you're like, oh yeah, well, you're suffering because of these people, but it's okay because God's gonna make it so that they're all your slaves someday.
Or your kids, not you.
Also, yes.
A very good point. So God doesn't do anything for these people, and there's the criminality is that they keep you as slaves, but the justification is that your children or future generation will become their slavers.
Yeah.
So the source of all morality is so down with slavery. And it just shows favoritism in a flip-flopping fashion.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I mean, just like Exodus, you get that whole thing. Like, there is special treatment of Jewish servants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of hand holding and tutorials too.
Yeah, exactly. A rule book.
And it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from the hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve, that thou shalt take up proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased.
The Golden City. That's interesting. So I have how the oppressor has ceased. The insolent fury ceased.
So I have you will take up this theme concerning the king of Babylon and say, and then it breaks off into a poetic part.
Yeah, I have that too.
It says that it's not clear that the prose passage from before was written by the same person who wrote the poetry that comes after. But it also says, how is the taskmaster ended? Arrogance is ended.
In Young's literal translation, it says, how hath the exactor ceased?
All right. Thanks, Young, for being completely unhelpful.
So with like...
The Lord hath broken the staff of this. I'll try that again. The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath, in a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing.
Well, that really destroys all that peace and quiet, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
All that singing.
Yeah, well, it's the celebration of the tyrant's death is universal.
Yeah. Except for the Babylonians.
Well, they're your slaves now.
Yeah,
so
I guess it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter what
Did they
think.
specify that everyone was singing or that everything was singing?
All the earth is calm and quiet, bursts forth in song here.
So, like, objects?
No, I mean, it would just be people.
It would be people.
I hope so.
Yes.
That's
Well,
a
you
nightmare.
never know. I mean, there's that other passage where it says that the rocks and stones themselves will start to sing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm questioning it. But see, there we go.
Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no feller has come against us.
Yeah,
And so
since
it
you
is
were
objects because the trees are singing now.
Well,
Yeah, and or at least
You know-
saying nobody's hurting us. They're saying it.
We've had a verse where the trees were said to be talking before, right?
once before, I think.
Birds in trees.
No,
Ah,
it was-
Dude, that's what is a recommend. Yeah, it might be birds in trees sing.
Well, sure,
what they
but no,
mean.
but I mean, like we've had a verse before where the trees were said to be singing. I forget where that is though. If someone remembers what specific verse that was, because I do remember that coming up. I'm not completely insane. So, hopefully someone else can point out what verse that was.
So, as elsewhere, the cedars of Lebanon are proverbial for their loftiness.
Yeah.
These lines begin a thematic swinging between high and low that underlies the structure of the poem. The lofty trees are both literal and figurative. The tyrant cuts down forests for his building projects and his siege works. At the same time, the cedars and cypresses are metaphors for the great ones of the earth hacked down by the Babylonian king.
Okay. Well, that does make sense. But I still remember seeing something about talking trees.
Yeah, I wish it had a reference.
Yeah, bummer. All right.
Pocahontas.
Moving on to verse 9, which, by the way, begins in the King James Version, it begins with hell, whereas the New American Standard, the New Revised Standard, and Young's Literal all reference Sheol instead.
Yep, it's definitely Sheol.
Yep,
they
it's
would
Sheol.
not be saying hell.
Yeah, but for this, because I consider that inaccurate, I'm going to move over to the New American Standard. Sheol from beneath is excited over you to meet you when you come. It arouses for you the spirits of the dead, all the leaders of the earth. It raises all the kings of the nations from their thrones. Does somebody want to explain to me that?
Yeah. It raises from their thrones all who are kings of the nations. The nations is like a polemical thing against the enemies of Israel. So in the same way as so in ancient Egypt, a way to have to basically portray Egypt's enemies historically was the representation of the 9 bows. So in the same way, when they're talking about the nations, they just mean foreign nations. They are excluded from this. So, Sheol is where all the leaders of these nations are, and it's intrinsically polemical against them.
There's also some wordplay here where it talks about them as chiefs of the earth. It says they may have been chiefs when they were on earth, but Eretz also means underworld. So what they may be chief of is the kingdom of death.
Yeah, so that would be kind of silly because, as we have seen before, actually I don't know how this tradition would have, how this specific one would have treated, if it would have treated the idea of God's rule over death differently than books like Enoch. So, I mean, probably in some sense.
And again, Young doesn't offer any clarification. Sheol beneath has been troubled at thee to meet thy coming in. It is waking up for thee, Raphaim, all chief ones of the earth. It has raised up from their thrones all kings of nations. So the way I'm seeing this is that everybody who's dead goes to the same place. There's no heaven or hell distinction. Everybody's just being there dead.
Yeah, they divided Sheol up in apocryphal stuff that we read earlier, but
Yeah, that's the later stuff.
Yeah.
So apparently this is different than some of the stuff that we've read before, even in the Bible. Alter says, for the most part, Sheol in the Bible is imagined as a vast and deep pit that swallows those who have died, who thus know nothing but darkness and silence after their deaths. Here, however, the poet imagines an assembly of spirits of the dead greeting a king, an idea loosely analogous to the representation of Hades in the 6th book of the Odyssey.
Yes, they had a place for champions. That's, I think Tartarus was the inner realm of that, where, the bad guys and the really strong good guys win. It was interesting.
So I don't know. I don't want to claim that this is a different image of Sheol based off of
Sheol's had a lot of weird themes with other underworld-esque aspects being appropriated onto it as well, and this feels like another one of those.
Yeah, but they have different images of Sheol in different parts of the Bible and in different books.
Yeah,
too.
and a lot of it would have to come down to the development of the tradition, because the Bible itself was, as a whole, was written over the course of a millennia.
Yeah,
so
and inevitably these aspects of Sheol are going to warp and mutate into something else where
Yeah.
we get the heaven and hell ideas.
Yeah. Actually, Bart Ehrman released a. Go ahead, Aaron.
I'm getting a Lord of the Rings vibe when it talks about rising the kings from the land of the dead, and raises all the kings from their thrones. Apparently, they have thrones in the land of the dead as well. And
I could
And
interpret that as him raising, like literally child rearing, raising children to thrones. That could be interpreted that way as well.
No, I'm-
But there's too many Sheol images.
Yeah, I'm seeing raising them from their thrones. I don't know why they would be dead why there would be thrones. But nonetheless, they're obviously referring to the spirits of dead kings when it goes into the next verse and says, "And they shall speak and say unto thee, Art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us?"
Yeah.
Down. Yep.
Very, very polemical again, putting them down by, they're calling themselves weak, because this is the state of, this is kind of the condition that they live in now.
Yeah,
Well,
they become this.
It's
live,
It's
quotes.
also a theme that popped up various times in Psalms and I think in Proverbs, if not Sirach. No, probably not Sirach. I think Ecclesiastes.
That would make
also,
sense.
Where they talk about how kings and princes all have the same fate.
Yeah, definitely
as
Ecclesiastes.
And
anyone
really,
else.
Colette really railed in on
Yeah.
Sheol being just dead.
Be all end all, yeah.
Yeah.
No, Aaron,
afterlife.
Aaron, have you? When was the last time you read Ecclesiastes?
I couldn't tell you when that was. Over a year.
Yeah. Boy, is it great! I love it. It's so nihilistic.
It's also the source of the. I've heard other people say that it was nihilistic, but I actually found charm in that.
Me too. I loved it.
Where there's actual wisdom in the Bible. That's the only place where I've ever seen actual wisdom in the Bible.
You get these great skeptical, nihilistic tendencies that impart at least partial truths that still hold, which are cool. I like that.
Yeah, when you're
That
dead,
was
you're
probably
dead.
my favorite reading. Yeah.
Life sucks.
Yeah.
We rated that book pretty well. It was short too, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ecclesiastes 3:18-21 is like my favorite quote out of the whole Bible.
Nice.
I gotta remember what
So
that is.
On this next verse, I'm going to switch to the New American Standard version again, just because of the way it reads. Your pomp and the music of your harps have been brought down to Sheol. Maggots are spread out as your bed beneath you. The worms are your covering.
Yeah, so really not looking good for him.
It just needs to be clearer than the other versions here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, maggots are laid as a bed beneath you, and worms are your covers. Yeah, pretty direct.
They have it reversed here. Your bed's spread with worms and your covers are maggots.
Oh well, shit.
Yeah. And we finally get to the good part. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning?
Yes.
How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit.
So before we continue, let's talk about Lucifer, shall
there's
we?
quite a bit here. There's differences in the translation here.
Yeah.
Alter says, how are you fallen from the heavens, bright one, son of dawn? You are cut down to earth, dominator of nations. And you once thought in your heart, to the heaven will I ascend, above the eternal stars I will raise my throne and sit on the mount of divine counsel in the far reaches of Zaphon.
It's the king of Babylon, everybody, just so you know.
Yeah. So this Zaphon.
Yeah, Mount Zaphon, that has come up so many times.
So in Canaanite mythology, Mount Zaphon was the place of the council of the gods, like Olympus in the Greek tradition. And instead of being brought up to Mount Zaphon, goes down to the pit. But here, when he says bright one, son of dawn, Alter comments, the appellation, of course, is heavily sarcastic. This is a sun that has set forever. The cosmic sweep of the language generated the idea among Christian interpreters that this figure is Lucifer, which means light bearer, in accordance with the Hebrew, that is Satan. But no, this is about the sun.
Yeah. But it's of course not a divine being. It's about the king who is represented as the sun who is setting for the last time.
Mm-hmm.
So for some clarification, happy to be covering this verse with you all here to help me understand it. What I've read on this was that Hillel ben Shahar, is it Isaiah is not talking about the devil that Christians translate this to be, that, this is the whole and sole source of that, Lucifer being a fallen angel from heaven crap. That what it really is Isaiah is making fun of Babylonian astrology, where Hillel ben Shahar, Lucifer the light bringer, son of the dawn, is actually Venus, and he's supposed to be the son of Shahar, who's the twin brother of Shalim. These are the dawn and the dusk, except that when the first time I read it, I thought these were supposed to be real people with stupid names, but then I realized that they're not supposed to be people at all. They're literally the dawn and the dusk, and that you're just anthropomorphized as if they're twin brothers descended from El, the sun. And that Venus never rises above the moon, and then coming the dawn, Venus then diminishes. And so it's been anthropomorphized into Hillel, Lucifer, is trying to do a coup against his father Shalim, but never succeeds. And that El rises against him.
So on that, actually, there's a good bit about it in Erdman's. So the core of this oracle against Babylon is Isaiah 14:12 through 20. The Daystar, son of dawn, Hillel ben Shahar, has attempted to become like the Most High, Elyon, and sit in the assembly of the gods. That's in verse 13. He has been brought down, killed, and left unburied. It is customary to see here a Canaanite myth about a god depicted as a star banished or being banished from heaven. Comparisons have also been made with the Greek myth of can't even say this name. Phaeton, son of Helios, the sun god, who drove off with the father's chariot and nearly set the earth ablaze. Neither of these is satisfactory, since the Greek myth is no real parallel, and there is no evidence yet of any Canaanite myth of a god being thrown from heaven. The closest parallels are in the Old Testament itself and suggest that it was the Hebrews who told of someone being thrown from God's presence because of his pride or sin. Echoes of the story of Adam and Eve, for example. Ezekiel twice describes someone dressed like a high priest being thrown from Eden. That's Ezekiel 28:13. Because he was proud and thought he was a god. In their present form, these oracles condemn the ruler of Tyre, but like the oracle in Isaiah, and that was in reference to the Ezekiel one, but like the oracle in Isaiah 14, they were probably being reused. These were the myths about kings who were also described as stars. Cross-reference Numbers 24:17 and also Isaiah 24:21. Deutero-Isaiah tells of princes of the sanctuary who have been profaned. Exactly the fate of the proud being in Ezekiel. Profane means being made mortal and subject to death. He also reassures Israel that he is the chosen one, the servant who is not cast off. I think the Canaanite stuff definitely is can be found with the Mount Zaphon, obviously.
And the astrological stuff is, it's there, right? Bright one, son of the dawn in altars, but morning, son of the morning in the KJV.
Sure, yeah.
So this would be the morning star.
Yeah, but definitely not, it's not Lucifer the devil.
No, it's not a guy with horns. It's not an angel.
No, but they had little goat guys before. That's weird, right?
Yeah, yeah.
frolic.
That's as close as we got to the devil with his horns and his, yeah.
Yeah, although I definitely do want to do like a much larger documentary style project on Lucifer in general, because that's just so interesting. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I did a presentation on Satan in Oklahoma City, and on our way there, there was when this guy in Oklahoma City drove over the Ten Commandments monument and declared himself to have been controlled by Satan to do that. So that's while I'm on my way. That's while I'm on my way up there, and you can imagine that I had to obviously frantically change my presentation to include that topical reference since it is in that city.
Yeah.
Wow. Incredible. That's people have been blaming
Classic.
the devil and demons for their actions for so long.
Yes. For so long.
All right, they shall see. They shall see the. They shall see. Let me say it. They shall see the. Fuck the King James. Those who will see you will gaze at you. They will ponder over you, saying, "Is this the man who made the earth tremble, who shook the kingdoms, who made the world like a wilderness and overthrew its cities, who did not allow his prisoners to go home? All the kings of the nations lie in glory, each in his own tomb."
So many understand this as tomb. Alter translates it as home. So each in his own home. Compare the reference in Kohelet 12:5
Oh yeah, it says the Hebrew word is house.
to death as a man's everlasting home, with an eye to a neat contrast between honorable burial and being flung from the grave. The Hebrew word does almost always mean house or home, and the contrast may be between kings sleeping peacefully in their homes and the tyrant not even sleeping in the grave. But one cannot exclude the possibility that homes could be an epithet for the grave.
I mean, sure, I can see it, I guess.
Okay, so I'm going to recap on 18 again. All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in their glory, every one in his own house. But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch, and as the raiment of those that are stained, thrust through with a sword, that go down to the stones of the pit as a carcass trodden under feet. Thou
Wow.
shalt not be joined. What?
Wow. So, but you are cast out away from your grave like a loathed branch, clothed with the slain, those pierced by the sword. Clothed with the slain.
Clothed with the sword /slain, who go down to the floor of the pit. About the floor of the pit, the Masoretic text has Avnei Bor, the stones of the pit, which is a little puzzling. This translation reads with Blenkinsop, Adnei Bor. The amended noun means sockets, and in Job 38:6, it is used for the foundations of the earth. I wasn't aware that there was a floor of the pit. If the pit is a reference to Sheol, I was under the impression from other books that we've read that Sheol continues down indefinitely.
Well, you could still say
There are floors on the pit, but it still can go down.
The floor of the pit.
I have no idea.
well, maybe there is a floor. Who knows? At least
I
then.
once lived for a couple of years in a underground structure that was commonly described as a bomb shelter. And the interesting thing was the way to get to it was this like outhouse that was next to a trailer. So I'm like underneath the neighborhood, and we referred to that as the pit.
Sounds fitting.
Okay, so which verse am I on right now? Let's see.
Verse 20.
Verse 20, yes. Thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land and slain thy people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities.
So yeah, they just want to make sure that never happens again.
They want to massacre the entire royal lineage.
Yeah. Because
Yeah,
that's
and
the
punish
only way
the
to
children.
praise the king.
Punish the children for their fathers, and so forth. Well,
Yeah.
for I will rise up against them, saith the Lord of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name, the raiment, and the son. Let me say that again. And son and nephew, saith the Lord.
Son and nephew,
Yeah, descendants and posterity.
offspring and grandchildren.
Wow.
Or alternatively, kith and kin.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, we get the idea.
That's where Kith can come from.
What?
He said that's where kith kin can come from.
The word Kith can or is a creature type in magic.
Oh my god, why are we talking
Okay.
about this?
Yeah, nobody knows
Good
that.
job.
Sorry.
I will also make it a possession for the hedgehog and swamps of water, and I will sweep it with the broom of destruction, declares the Lord of hosts.
With the hedgehog, interesting inclusion there.
The hedgehog, the identification of keypod is uncertain. Elsewhere, it appears to mean hedgehog, as in modern Hebrew, but hedgehogs don't live in marshlands. It's translated here as herons.
Huh, that's interesting. So I guess we just don't know what the Hebrew word is.
Yeah.
Because as a note here, it says possibly porcupine or owl.
What?
I said they have no idea what these animals are.
Yeah.
They don't know what they are anymore.
Lost the
It also
time.
mentions bittern. Bittern is an option for hedgehog.
Yeah, well, what I imagine is like these books get to Europe, right? And the Europeans are like, what the fuck is a Kyrkin? I'm just going to say hedgehog.
I bet they live there, yeah.
Yeah, there's
that's
hedgehogs.
an owl.
There's hedgehogs all over the place here, so they've got to be everywhere.
I like that there's one verse, I forget where it is, where it talks about the things that you're allowed to eat and not allowed to eat. And if you compare different versions, all of the species change, which makes it completely oblivious. What are we allowed to eat? What are we not?
Yeah, but then it gets into like how to identify them with like split hooves and some other stuff, right?
Yeah, some people have tried to break it down.
It's describing species at first, but it depends on which version you read as to what those species are. And so like in one version, everything that you're not allowed to eat is some form of lizard.
Yeah.
But in others, you're not allowed to eat ferrets or crocodiles, or it's specific that way. So I mean, if you can't compare the versions and understand what the hell they're talking about, then how is it just even a prohibition? How do we know what we're not allowed to eat?
Cherry picking.
You know, because the rabbinical council tells you what you're allowed to eat. That's why we can't. The Jews now aren't allowed to eat cheeseburgers because you can't boil a calf in its mother's milk.
Well, I am a horrible Jew then.
Oh, yeah, but
We already knew that, yeah.
You're a terrible Jew. But so they can't eat cheeseburgers, not because it's written in the Bible that you can't have cheese on your meat,
Right.
but because a rabbinical council has decided that their interpretation of those poorly worded verses is now applicable to cheeseburgers.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter what the Bible says. It matters what the church says.
Now I want a
Ooh.
cheeseburger.
As is tradition.
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 The Lord of hosts hath sworn, saying, surely as I have thought, so shall it come to pass. As I have purposed, so shall it stand. That I will break the Assyrian in my land and upon thy mountains, tread him under foot. Then shall his yoke depart from off them, and his burden depart from off their shoulders.
Yeah, so now we're talking about the Assyrians.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was I mean, they were a much bigger problem at a different time.
And it's left up to you to decide whether he means, the land of Canaan or Judah,
Well, it would be
or literally the entire earth because it's the Lord.
So the oracle, what verse does that start? 24? Okay. So the oracle that we talked about before was probably used at one time against the king of Assyria. It is similar in tone to that recorded in Isaiah 37, 22 to 29. In its present form, it is against the king of Babylon, another proud ruler who declared himself to be a god. And it's used in 2 Thessalonians. And then on these verses here, 14, 24 through 27, are another oracle against Assyria from the time of the invasion in 701 BC. Yeah, so this would be from an earlier period. Because it wouldn't make sense about Babylon. Like in the section where they're just, condemning nations, it makes sense to be there. But, chronologically speaking, it doesn't.
Moving on, 26. This is the purpose that is purposed upon the whole earth, and this is the hand that is stretched out upon all the nations. For the Lord of hosts has purposed, and who shall disannul it? The hell is disannul?
Thwart.
Yeah, annul.
Disannul it. Disannul?
Disannul?
That's what it's okay. Weird. All right.
Yeah,
Gotta use that.
Yeah, rehabilitated. Perfect.
Recombobulated.
I'm switching to Young's now because I don't read enough. For Jehovah of hosts hath purposed, and who does make void? And his hand that is stretched out, who doth turn it back? In the year that King Ahaz died was this burden. So give me some context on King Ahaz.
Yeah, we covered him. He was talked about in the Deuteronomistic history, King Ahaz, and he was the dude who was basically, he was the king at the time of Isaiah, basically. And I don't really remember much more about him because he was an evil king, I think, right?
He wasn't a good king.
The Syrians and Palestinians rose up against him and wiped his entire kingdom and killed everybody, as I understand, right?
And it's so hard for me to remember. All those names kind of melt together.
Yeah, Ahaz got wiped out, I think.
Yeah, this brief prose introduction marks the fourth prophecy included in here, this one directed against the Philistines. So, yeah, I assume King Ahaz was taken out by the Philistines.
So 14, 28 through 32 are two oracles which have been distorted. Verse 30 belongs after verse 32, giving the sequence verse 29 and verse 31. An oracle against Philistia, then verses 32 and 30, a reassurance to Zion. In the year that King Ahaz died, verse 28, may be only the work of the editor, but Tiglath-Pileser III, who had crushed a Philistine revolt, died in 727 BCE, and his successor, Shalmaneser V, reigned only 5 years. There is some dispute as to the date of Ahaz's death, 725 BCE or 715 BCE. But either date should have coincided with a revival of Philistine hopes when they Philistine hopes when they heard of the death of an Assyrian ruler.
Yeah, so Ahaz, he was the king before Hezekiah was the king.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And he was an idolater. So
yeah, okay.
Not
a good guy.
Ahaz took the silver and gold that was found in the house of the Lord and in the treasuries and the treasures of the king's house and sent it for a present to the king of Assyria. That's in chapter 16, verse 8 of 2 Kings.
Yeah, and
well, why wouldn't he be an idolater? I mean, he's got Isaiah as a prophet, and all of Isaiah's prophecies fail.
Well, as we will soon see, they didn't, and they were all
Oh,
They were all accurate, and
so accurate.
nothing was wrong, and this is completely the words of Isaiah himself.
And
So
divinely inspired.
In Isaiah 7, Isaiah assures Ahaz that his enemies will be unsuccessful, and that by the time that there's a maiden who is with child, which is translated later by Matthew as being a virgin, she'll give birth to a son, and she'll blah blah blah. And so we're misreading that as being a reference to Jesus, but in fact it was a reference to some other kid that lived 700 years before Jesus, who by the time this child is born and then subsequently can distinguish or choose between honey and curds, then you will know that your enemies will be of no threat to you. And then quite the direct opposite is what happened.
yeah, and I mean, we covered the whole sign of Emmanuel thing the other week. And I mean, yeah, the thing is, the very next chapter pretty much presumes that he's already been born.
Hold up. This was all... oh, never mind. I was reading stuff from 2 Kings.
Yeah.
And it was a little linguistically similar, but then I remembered that I'm reading out of the KJV, which is all like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what makes it fun and also causes me to trip up at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go to Young again. Rejoice not, thou Philistia, all of thee, that broken hath been the rod of thy smiter. For from the root of a serpent cometh out of a viper, and its fruit is a flying seraph.
Yeah, I have its fruit will be a flying, fiery serpent.
Yep, here that's also isn't that a D&D enemy?
Yeah,
I don't
flying
know.
flaming snakes. Yes.
The flying flaming snakes.
100% a D&D.
Oh man. Yeah, the mystical creatures in Isaiah. We've got satyrs, we've got flying flaming snakes.
Is there any commentary on that?
The flying serpent. Okay. Here, Seraph appears to carry its full serpentine mythological weight. See the comment in verse 2 in chapter 6 regarding seraphim. Oh, well, yeah, the seraphim, they're angels, 6 wings, cover their junk with their wings.
Yeah.
And yeah, they'd sing, holy, 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 all day long.
Exactly. Just praise God.
Every day. Praise God. Praise the Lord. Holy. Ooh. That's
what they sound like. We have a recording.
Yeah.
yeah. There's your recording.
And the firstborn of the poor shall feed, and the needy shall lie down in safety. And I will kill thy root with a famine, and he shall slay thy remnant. I'm sorry, not raiment. Howl, O gate, cry, O city, thou whole Palestina art dissolved. For there shall come from the north a smoke, and none shall be alone in this appointed times. What shall one then answer, the messengers of the nation? That the Lord hath founded Zion, and the poor of his people shall trust in it.
Yeah, the Hebrew doesn't say Zion. It just says has founded. The implication is a new founding of Zion after the exile.
Of course. Which, it did eventually happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, rebuilding the temple. Either way, that is the end of chapter 14. If everyone who is watching right now is enjoying the stream, make sure you drop a like because it actually really helps us out. And make sure to share and subscribe if you haven't. All that good stuff.
Yep.
And then we have one more chapter for the day that is left.
Yep. Chapter 15. I'll hop into it. The burden of Moab. Because in the night, Ar of Moab is laid waste and brought to silence. Because in the night, Kir of Moab is laid waste and brought to silence.
Yeah, so those two cities there, these are the first of a whole series of names of Moabite towns invoked to suggest how sweeping is the destruction that overtakes the entire country. And there's a bit of commentary here on in the night. The Hebrew word Belel announces a kind of phonetic theme because it both alliterates and virtually rhymes with Ye'elil, whales, which appears in verses 2 and 3 and then twice in noun form in verse 8. Okay. So good
And
poetic stuff.
All of this gloom and doom prophecy, it begins to sound a little bit like Fox News warning what'll happen if Democrats win.
Ah,
Yeah, a little bit.
Or just global climate change in general.
Chicago's gonna burn down, then it'll be New York, and then it'll be your town.
And they'll come to the suburbs
Yeah.
where you think you're safe.
Yeah.
I did. Am I wrong?
yes, you're in danger.
So much danger all the time.
Wrong one. Wrong one. Got
There
it.
you go. Okay.
Danger noise.
Spooky.
And I'm glad I got the wrong one twice. That made
Yeah.
it so much less impactful.
Yeah, that was great. He has gone up to Bajith and to Dibon, the high places, to weep. Oh no.
Not the high places.
Moab shall howl over Nebo and over Medeba. On all their heads shall be baldness, and every beard cut off.
Yeah, every head is shaved. Okay. So shaving the hair is a sign of mourning. Okay,
Yep.
that's what they're going for.
Yep. Well, cutting their beards off was a sign of disrespect.
Not for the Moabites.
Not for the Moabites, I guess. In their streets, they shall gird themselves with sackcloth. On the tops of their houses and in their streets, everyone shall howl, weeping abundantly. And Heshbon shall cry, and Elialah. Their voice shall be heard even unto Jahaz. Therefore the armed soldiers of Moab shall cry out. His life shall be grievous unto him. My heart shall cry out for Moab. His fugitives shall flee unto Zoar, a heifer of 3 years old. For by the mounting up of Luhith with weeping shall they go up to it.
Hold on. Let's go back to the heifer. What verse was that?
That is verse 5.
Okay, so Alter has, my heart for Moab cries out, those who flee her as far as Zoar and Iglath Shelishaya.
What?
I'm gonna.
What is an Iglath Shelishaya?
I
Oh, that's going to be the name of my next child.
I'm gonna check this translation here for verse 5. Yeah, same thing actually. The English Standard Version has that as well. So there is sadly no commentary on that. I'll look something up here. But yeah, my heart for Moab cries out. This is surely intended as sarcasm because the Israelite speaker is gladdened by the destruction of this traditional enemy of his people. And then, oh, that's in the next one. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna look all this shit up because that's a lot that's going on.
Okay. For by the mounting up of Luhith with weeping shall they go it up. For in the way of Horonaim they shall raise up a cry of destruction. For the waters.
Can somebody tell me what Horonaim is?
So these are places, I'm assuming.
Yeah, they're all places.
Yeah, still.
So I'm guessing Iglath Shelishaya is probably also another place. Is that it?
Maybe.
But I don't know why I'd say heifer.
I don't know. Maybe they were guessing.
Maybe.
Quick, make up some words for
There's
a prophecy.
a good chance.
Yeah, make up some words in the middle. How good is a prophecy that has words missing? Like that you have no. Yeah.
You will receive
a certain percentage less
next
Yeah.
Did you get that?
You'll receive Shloma Shleka Shlayamim, and you're going to like it too.
Oh man, I will.
See, I'm glad we're actually Jewish, so we can get away with that.
Yeah.
And I don't understand the reference earlier to the 3-year-old heifer. I mean, what significance was that?
We still don't know. We're trying to figure it out.
I'm guessing that the actual word is just the name of a town.
Yeah.
Maybe it's supposed to be
or
polemical.
a building or a temple.
It might be.
Holy site, rock. They name things badly. It could just be a rock.
You're not. No, you're supposed to sacrifice animals at the end of the first year. They live to 1 year old.
For Thanksgiving. And
Right,
for
for
other
Thanksgiving.
for others offerings, there's different things I remember.
I think I remember all those Levitical rules.
Well, I had to read those when I was reading, so I kind of do.
I remember.
Those sucked. I read them twice.
did.
I remember there was an age requirement. I
There
mean,
was, yeah.
What I was getting at is it might be that they were hinting at that, like a 3-year-old heifer is like something that's about to be sacrificed.
Yeah, I do. I get that. I get what you're going for.
Yeah.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Anyways, for the waters of Nimrim shall be desolate, for the hay is withered away, the grass faileth, there is no green thing. Therefore, the abundance they have gotten and that which they have laid up shall they carry away to the brook of the willows. For the cry is gone round about the borders of Moab, the howling thereof unto Eglaim, and the howling thereof unto Beeralim. For the waters of Dimon shall be full of blood. For I will bring more upon Dimon, lions upon him that escapeth of Moab, and upon the remnant of the land.
Yeah, for Moab's survivors, a lion. Numerous emendations have been proposed here, especially for the last word. None is very convincing. The language is certainly cryptic, but may make sense as it stands in the received text. We know from multiple biblical sources that lions proliferated in this region in the ancient period and were a menace to the people and to their flocks. What the writer may have had in mind is that when desperate Moabites flee from their towns, as those towns are sacked by invaders, in the very place where they sought refuge, they encounter lions and become their prey. In this understanding, the lions are what God, quote, adds still more against Dimon.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, that's the end of today's reading. That's another shortish chapter right there.
Yeah, how you feeling there about those 2 short chapters?
Finally.
Finally,
Finally.
Reuben
About
has
time.
gotten a short chapter.
Twice in a row.
2.
It's about time.
Finally,
So,
Reuben has read another short chapter.
any thoughts about our readings today overall?
Well, you know what? I'm glad we talked about Lucifer, but I always want to learn more about that kind of shit. And I think it would go over really well in video form.
Yeah.
So perhaps I should read a whole bunch of books on it.
I
You've
am
been inspired.
once again supremely let down by Judeo-Christian morality.
Well, what you gonna do?
I liked the imagery that they used for things.
There was some cool imagery. Yeah, I like the flying snakes.
Yeah. Flying
Yeah, and
snakes.
the weird mythical creatures.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, at least in some of the interpretations, if they weren't goats,
Or goat gods.
yes, small minor goat gods. That's quite interesting.
Yeah.
And
Let's.
they dance, or they frolic, or they trip.
Hey, don't we all trip a little bit?
Yeah, they skip. There was one that said that they skip.
Yeah, I had dance. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I had dance.
So really, really nice time over there in the fields for the goats. You gotta love it.
Yep. Oh.
So I'm looking for imagine that you're a timeless entity, full of love and wisdom, and this is the crap you crank out.
Oh, yeah. You definitely would crank out a list of cities that you're going to destroy.
and make people still read about that thousands of years later.
Oh yeah, and it's totally relevant to know all the names of those places.
The only people it ever might be relevant to is biblical scholars,
Yes.
which I'm fine with eventually to if I get to that point in my life.
No, flying electric eels.
Oh yeah.
I did like learning how different impressions on how the formation of Lucifer from the Babylonian astrology and all like that. But I would like to know what the source is for the flying flamed serpents.
Yeah, that one does sound fun. Because when we're talking about serpents, there's a good stuff about that in the Bible. Remember?
And otherwise, seraphim.
Yeah, seraphim
What?
too.
Yeah,
There's lots of.
if they're seraphim, that's a lot scarier in my opinion.
Well, I'm not sure. Some things they're like holy, holy, holy. Or,
Yeah, but what do they got under those wings? You don't even know.
Probably flaming swords or something.
Yeah, something.
yeah.
Like 8 arms. It's all swords and all arms.
Okay.
Terrifying.
Yeah, that's. I think you're thinking of Hinduism.
He is, yeah.
Why not?
He definitely is.
There's got to be a common bond in there somewhere.
All right. Well, that is the end of the show for today. Let's shill out some stuff.
If you enjoyed our show today, be sure to check us out on Patreon. For $1 a month, you can get yourself the scripts to all of our scripted videos. For $5 a month, you can get yourself our self-published books. For $10 a month, you're entered into a monthly T-shirt giveaway raffle.
yeah, which
where we
will be
spin a
next
wheel.
week on Sunday. Yeah.
On Sunday, next Sunday, we're going to be doing that, spinning that wheel, giving that prize out. For $20 a month, you get invited to live events if we ever have.
Yeah,
live
and we
events.
our hangouts as well.
Yep, and for $50 a month, you can be on the show. Now, Aron Ra didn't spend $50 a month to get on our show, but you can do what Aron's doing right now on
And be
any
an
of our
expert
weekly
in a
shows
field.
once a month.
Yeah, so it's a good amount of fun. You could be on this show, or on our Friday show.
Yep, or maybe eventually on our Saturday show.
Yeah, we got stuff going on.
Also, our Amazon wish list is full of books. If you want to add books to this table or to our bookshelf, then
we will read the books. We will use them as sources. Yeah, you'll get something out of it. You are investing in your own entertainment and knowledge. We read the books and make the videos so you don't have to.
Yep. So, Aron, anything that you want to show?
Oh no, I don't want to shill anything. I'm good.
All right.
All right, well, go subscribe to Aron. He's great. You'll probably already all fucking subscribe to him anyways. So Aron, thanks for joining us. Facebook and Twitter, free to follow us on there.
Yep. Him too.
Also yes. Teespring.
Teespring.
We have Teespring
We
and
have
shirts.
T-shirts. Check them out.
Hoodies,
You
mugs.
can wear our merch instead of like.
You could wear our merch. That is what you would do with clothes you get.
So whenever we tell you to like spread the stream around, instead of like printing out a thing where you put it up on billboards.
Yeah, that was silly. Instead, get a shirt, take a picture of the shirt, and print that.
No, you just get a bunch
You're
of
always
shirts.
printing things, Ruben.
No, you get a bunch of shirts and you leave them all across your town.
God.
Yeah. You
Nobody's gonna pick them up. It's COVID time.
you break into a sporting event and you replace all of the shirts by their T-shirt
Sporting
cannon
events.
with our shirts.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't
That's
break
a real
in,
prank.
though.
These
Real hard.
are brilliant ideas. You
could not do.
you should listen to them. Don't actually listen to them.
Probably not.
No.
But
Moving on.
if you want to wear one of
Comedy
our
purposes
shirts,
only.
you can wear one of our shirts.
Yeah, go ahead. But anyways, yeah, that's the show for today. All that stuff we mentioned before, all links in the description. We love you very much, and we will see you on